Share houses is the place to go in case you would like to stay longer in Japan. Once upon a time, depending on what kind of person you are, whether you are traveling alone or you're traveling with friends or with family, budget, where you would like to stay, how long where you would like to stay, and what you actually expect of an apartment or the place where you would like to stay, it does matter. For example, you're staying in Tokyo. Tokyo is quite expensive, it's a very busy city, it's very beautiful depending on who you ask, and all in all, it's just quite convenient because you can go to the north or you can just go straight to Osaka and Kyoto if you really want to, and from there you can go somewhere else. As a tourist, of course, there are limitations. It's the same in every single country that you are a tourist, so there are special conditions. If you're a tourist and you would like to stay there for up to 90 days, you can actually, if you want to stay longer in Japan than 3 months, you can somehow do that. Since the restrictions are not really there anymore, travel restrictions from one country to the other, you could stay in Japan for up to 3 months, and then you just decide, oh, I actually would like to go to Taiwan for the weekend. Just book a flight, return, whatever is kind of close and cheap in comparison, like cheap flights. Do that, and then you have 90 more days again to spend in Japan. It's just a teeny tiny loophole that you can use in case you would like to stay longer, but then you need to figure out how you can actually manage it to stay at the same share house that you stayed prior, in case you would like to do that. If you're saying that you would like to go to a different city, for example, you are in Tokyo the very first 3 months, but then you would like to go to Kyoto for a couple of more months or weeks, then just go to Taiwan as a sample, and you're going back to Japan, and then you're looking for a share house. Of course, you should do that before you actually go to Taiwan, that you can stay in Kyoto at a share house, or Osaka, or for example Kumamoto. I actually don't know if they have a share house. There are always a lot of changes that I'm not aware of because they're just happening so fast, or they're just work in progress, and then there are new updates that I'm sharing with you. Shared living in Japan. It's not that common for Japanese to live in, let's say, shared living the way we know, like there is a house and there's a spare room to rent. They don't really do that. There is something like guest families, yes, in case you're joining an exchange program, yes, there is something like that. But other than that, Japanese usually live alone in a teeny tiny apartment, or when they're moving together with their, well, they're in a relationship, then they also move together at some point, but it takes some time, but that's a different topic, and in case you are interested in it, let me know about that, and then I'm doing a whole dating video about how it went and how it's going on in Japan, because it's quite different. Share house. Like I said, yeah, share house living, it's good when you are traveling alone. That's not entirely true. Depending on how big the room is and whether they offer it or not, you can also live with a friend, or when you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, husband, wife, or divorced. I don't know how to do the gender. It's difficult. It's just like your spouse, I guess. Then you can also live with that person in the same room, as long as it's tall enough and the share house that you're looking for in the beginning, then yeah, then you can do that. Oh, that perspective is really interesting. I have a double chin that I usually don't have. Share house living with up to 1 extra person, depending on the share house is doing that or not. Then there's something extra that you could do is Airbnb when you're traveling in a larger group. I also lived in an Airbnb alone. It really depends on the city or the village that you would like to visit. When I actually moved because of training from Tokyo to Kumamoto back then, they really didn't have share house, or I didn't look it up, but I was looking for an Airbnb that I could rent out for that specific month of training. Just figured out it wasn't that expensive, but it was also during the COVID pandemic. It was around 40 or 50,000 yen a month, which is basically between 350 and 450 euros, I guess, which is okay. Yeah, it's like a regular or cheaper rent depending on the country that you're living in. Of course, then it's more expensive or less expensive. It always depends on where you're coming from and where you would like to go in the future. Long story short, Airbnb is a really good idea when you're about to travel up to 2 or more people, because then Airbnb is not getting more expensive, but it has, you know, it's one price and then you share with the others, which is so nice. For example, when I was in Japan on a road trip with friends of mine, we were 5 in the very end. We were staying on Okinawa for around 4 to 5 days, and we rent an entire traditional Japanese looking house, which was just so amazing. Like bathroom, garden, terrace, then living room, kitchen. It was an entire house. We were staying there for 4 days, so it was 3 nights. For 3 nights, each of us only paid 50 euros. And I'm sure on the mainland they have similar offers as well. An entire house. You can rent it for months and then you just hop on to the next city and then you're staying there for a month. I mean, it's mind blowing. I'm just looking for some more share houses. The links to that, which should be in the video description, so that you know where to go and where to compare the prices and the locations of the share houses. But also, I'm just adding the Airbnb link because it's very convenient, and I met a lot of amazing, kind and cute and just very, very nice and pleasant people through that I also can call my friends now. I just love Japan and I can't wait to be back. Without further ado, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, hit the notification bell, or be gentle. And we're gonna see us next week with another video. Have a magical day, evening or night, morning, whatever you have right now, in case you're having that. And love you, matane, your neighbors with Dina. Smoochy smoochy. Cool.